Welcome to Billionaire Stories. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the legacy of Steve Jobs, how he built Apple into the most valuable company in the world. So before getting started, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Steve Jobs was a visionary leader who transformed Apple into one of the most successful companies in the world. He co-founded the company in 1976 with Steve Wozniak and quickly established a culture of innovation and creativity. Over the years, Jobs became known for his ability to anticipate consumer demand and create products that revolutionized their respective industry. The two Steves. Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne founded Apple in 1976. Shortly after founding the company, Wayne sold off his 10% stake, leaving Jobs and Wozniak. Wozniak created Apple's first device, the Apple I, building the original by hand with a wooden casing as a kit computer. The Apple II, also designed by Wozniak, launched a year later, achieving far more commercial success. It was a self-contained system with a plastic case and keyboard. However, it was the VisiCalc spreadsheet app that ran on the Apple II that helped make it a must-have for businesses and business users alike. In 1980, Apple released Apple III, the first computer Wozniak didn't design. The computer had a litany of problems, including heating issues that caused the solder on the motherboard to melt, and chips to pop out of their sockets. Jobs later called the losses from the Apple III incalculable. Apple then began work on the Lisa and Macintosh, both of which used graphical user interfaces. The Lisa landed in 1983 but failed due to its $10,000 price tag. The $2,495 Macintosh, however, was a mass-market success and ushered in the age of modern personal computing. Apple Inc. CEO Steve Jobs delivers the keynote address at the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference in San Francisco, California, June 6, 2011. Jobs strode back into the spotlight to unveil iCloud, a music streaming service that the company hopes will power its next stage of growth and popularize web-based consumer services. Wozniak and Jobs leave. Apple's first CEO was Michael Scott, who came from National Semiconductor in 1977. Mike Markkula, an early investor and Apple's third employee, took over from Scott in 1981, leading the company until 1983. That year, Jobs pitched then Pepsi CEO John Sculley to become Apple's CEO by asking if he wanted to sell sugared water for the rest of his life or change the world. Sculley and Jobs initially hit it off, but their relationship soon soured and, in 1985, Jobs attempted to oust Sculley. The move backfired, and Apple's board moved Jobs into the role of chairman, far from the hands-on position he wanted. He subsequently left Apple and founded the next computer company. Wozniak left the same year, after becoming frustrated with no longer working as an engineer. He sold much of his stock on the way out. A run of CEOs. Sculley led Apple from 1983 through 1993, taking the company from annual revenue of $569 million to $8.3 billion. But the board later fired him, blaming him for moving Apple computers to power PC chips instead of Intel processors and for the failed launch of the Newton PDA. The company turned the reins over to Michael Spindler, in the role until 1996, and oversaw the company as it licensed its OS 7 operating system to other computer manufacturers that created a handful of Mac clones. In 1996, Gil Amelio became CEO and purchased Steve Jobs Next for $400 million to use that company's operating system in Apple's computers. The next year, however, with Apple's losses continuing to mount, Amelio was fired and Jobs was named interim CEO of Apple. Tim Cook arrives at the Vanity Fair Oscar party during the 94th Academy Awards in Beverly Hills, California, U.S., March 28, 2022. Reuters, Danny Molashok, the return of Steve Jobs and revival of Apple back at the company he helped create. Jobs cut back on products and projects with the goal of returning the company to profitability. Jobs went on to lead Apple during a period of major growth with the introduction of the colorful iMac all-in-one computer, Mac OS X, the iPod, and iTunes. In 2007, Jobs launched the company's crown jewel, the iPhone. The next year, Jobs announced the App Store and later launched the iPad. Jobs also oversaw the launch of the MacBook Air, which revolutionized the design and construction of laptops and computers. Jobs, however, also suffered from pancreatic cancer later in his tenure, and at times had to hand over the company to Tim Cook while seeking treatment. When Jobs died from the disease in 2011, Tim Cook took over as CEO. Despite his success, Jobs was not without his critics. Some accused him of being arrogant and difficult to work with, and there were concerns about working conditions in Apple's overseas manufacturing facilities. However, many people credit Jobs with helping to shape the modern tech industry and inspiring countless entrepreneurs and innovators around the world. Please leave a thumb up, comment, and subscribe to the channel.